So Peter Charlton has a master's degree in international business, and while getting that degree, he took one course in advertising and realized he could make a living making stuff up. He had the good fortune of spending the next 40 years of doing just that. Budweiser designated driver commercial on the Super Bowl, creation of Heinz gravy spot that ran for 15 years, introduction of McDonald's salads. He was headhunted to Portland in 2003 and started his own agency, Ricochet Partners, in 2005, taking Nike Golf James Hardy and Bridgeport Beer with him to start Ricochet. He intended to retire in March of this year, but a former James Hardy client now at Allura convinced him to keep working for another year or so. I am happy to introduce Peter Charlton, son of a longtime Toastmaster Ian Charlton I and father of Ian Charlton II.
Mm.
9 to 11 minutes.
How many? 9. Oh, okay. So this is a presentation I gave at my father's assisted living place upon his death. He passed away on August 26th. He died of cancer. He also had dementia, as many of you know. But he was born in Bermuda in October 11, 1925. What was interesting about Bermuda is that the schools back then only went up to 8th grade, and so he had to go someplace else to school. And so his parents were British. His father was a captain of a luxury liner, and so they sent him to Ridley in Canada. And he was there. He won the math prize. He won the spelling prize. He was not a very good athlete, which is why he loved his son so much, who was captain of 3 sports in high school and kicked footballs in college. And but he was quarterback of the football team at Ridley. His senior year, he was captain of the freshman team. So it's like, okay, that's not the path he wanted to be on. But there we go. So this is my sister, who's 6 years older, myself and my father and mother. And so my father was married to our mother and for 22 years, and then they got divorced, and he married Colleen, and they were married for 11 years, and then she died of all sorts of complications, health reasons. And but they had a great time the few short years that they were married. Then he as I tell people, and they said life well lived, he outlived 2 wives and 3 girlfriends. So he did okay. He did okay. This is girlfriend number 1500. This 1501, and this was Mopsy, who I'm sorry, this is another one of his girlfriends, Monica, thank you, who he spent a lot of time. I now have that shirt, so it's he enjoyed ladies' company and was always had a lot of fun. I didn't know that you could wear a t-shirt with a sports jacket, but he made it work. I don't know, somehow, I don't know. And then this was a dance instructor that he started a relationship with after his second wife died, and they went to Egypt together. But he loved dancing, but as I mentioned, he outlived 2 wives and 3 girlfriends. And then I found this picture, and I had to throw this in for him. Okay, no, he didn't kill any of the wives. I promise that was none of that happened. So, and this is my sister, my nephew, my sister's husband, myself, and our dad for Father's Day. So we got together in a hotel there. So that was fun he always enjoyed being together. His hearing was so bad that it was tough for him in groups because it was hard for him to keep up with the conversation, but he tried. So this is his daughter, Barbara, who just turned 70 yesterday, and grandson, Michael. And then I mentioned Ridley. His younger brother also went to Ridley. And so this is them at their reunions, and you can see class of 43 and class of 49. Okay, that was a long time ago. So, but he had a great life, and he enjoyed his little brother. He loved to travel. That's him flying to Portland. So he would fly through Atlanta by himself. Unfortunately, I would get him in a wheelchair so that they would end up directing him there. But he loved to fly, and he would go on numerous trips. I don't even know where this is, but some European extravaganza that he had. And He's always a sharp dresser, the long coat and the shorts. He could be in Portland. He could live in Portland. It's a very Portland look, but he enjoyed traveling, and he enjoyed taking his wife's girlfriend's family on these trips, and he was always making friends. I have no idea who these people are. You mentioned golf, Tim. He also was a terrible golfer, never broke 100. He took me to play golf first time when I was 12, and I beat him when he was 14, and he never beat me again, and he resented that. But I took him on a golf trip to Arizona a couple of years ago, and we had a nice time together there. And I mentioned that he loved dancing, so he's always was any excuse to find to dance, and he'd ask anyone to dance, and if then somebody wouldn't say yes to dancing with him, he would just get up and start dancing by himself. He didn't need a partner. I'll just go ahead, and someone will find me if I get out on the dance floor. So and sometimes he didn't even need a dance floor. That's at a restaurant. I don't know. When I was 14, we went down the Salmon River, and that was great fun. And he was the oldest. He was probably 60 at the time, and he was the oldest one there, and he's out there working it like everybody else. And then we got to this big cliff, and all of us were jumping off, and he does a swan dive off the thing because he was a diver at Ridley and at Columbia. And then he's a great father. He had come into my wedding, and I loved him so much. I named our son Ian, and so Ian the second is him coming to visit Ian back in 20 years ago. And he loved Ponte Vedra, where he was a social member for years. So every time I would come here, we'd go to Ponte Vedra. And then he loved his neighborhood that we finally got him out of on Solano Road, and had a great time there. I just said an and I never say ums, so I just noticed. And so the people there were really good to him, and then an example of the dementia. So he went looking for another place to live, assisted living place, and he rode his tricycle into the lock. And I said, why did you do that? I didn't want someone to steal it. I said, you have a lock. That's what the lock is for. So the people at Tamaya, what was great is my sister and I tried to get him to move into assisted living for almost 3 years. And he finally, when he did move there, he instantly made great friends, because as you know, he's very gregarious, and he loves to play bridge. And so he was created bridge groups and had a great time. This is Sue, who he taught to play bridge, and she just thought that was the neatest thing that he was able to do that. And then this is one of my favorite pictures. This is a woman from Ukraine who's a pianist, lives there, and that's her 10-year-old son. And so there's a 10-year-old playing whatever game this is with 96-year-old. So it's like we got an 86-year gap. And Tim was very sad when my father passed. He was like, well, where did he go? It's like he's the first person he had known who had died. So it was at 10, he learned that lesson. And that was always a sharp dresser. I took him to, when I found out he was dying of cancer, I came and took him to the jumbo shrimp game, and the caregiver at Tamaya was amazing. This is the woman who headed up the program. And then his last, the caregiver was very sweet. She said, do you want me to move the TV into your bedroom? Because he was days away from dying. And so that was him trying to write yes there. So that's how the cancer and the morphine and everything he was on to try and survive had taken that was there. But so as I mentioned, it came here. So it took him to the jumbo shrimp game, which is your AAA baseball team here. And of course had to get there before it started, and we stayed till it was over, the third out. And this was just 3 weeks before he died. And then my favorite time was we then went to the beach earlier that day, and we started to walk down to the ocean, and I said, he said, oh, my back's really hurting. The cancer was bothering him. And I said, well, hold on. So I went and grabbed a beach chair, and then there was 4 kids having lunch about your age. I said, get out here. You're carrying my father down to the ocean. I said, sure. And so he thought that was great to be king tutted his way down to the ocean and back. And so that's a very fond memory, and really enjoyed being able to do that. That's Ian the second is nonverbal epileptic and has autism, but he likes to ride around with Dad in the golf cart. So That's Ian two. And that's grandson, and that's my sister. And that was us. And one of the things that my father always said in the phone call was bye for now. And I use that as well. So thanks for coming. Bye for now. So